Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for this week's Thursday with AARP Wisconsin show. I am Amber Miller, your host. And before we get to our special guest, just a quick couple announcements. Please remember to check out the AARP Wisconsin website should you need additional information about advocacy, vaccine, booster, volunteer opportunities. There's so much information on there that is valuable, so we encourage you to visit aarp.org/WI. Also, please remember the community connections. If you go to the website below, there's a couple different things you can find on that website. One is local volunteer opportunities that you can join or actually create your own. So if you're looking maybe to put together a group of people to do like neighborhood cleanup, this would be a really great opportunity to do so. Also, there's information about the AARP Friendly Voice Initiative, which is free, open to all ages, and you do not need to be an AARP member. If you're looking for just a friendly voice on the other end, you could put a request in for yourself or for your loved one, and one of our AARP trained volunteers will give you a call back. Because as we know, sometimes it's just nice to hear a friendly voice on the other end. So you could go to the website below, which is aarpcommunityconnections.org, or by calling 1-888-281-0145. We would love for you, even though we are in a virtual world, we would love for you to join the AARP Wisconsin volunteer family. There are many opportunities, so if you go to the website below, you can find information and also an application that you can fill out online. So you could go to aarp.org. I want to, so the number 2, volunteer. Otherwise, you can find all that information about volunteering on the AARP Wisconsin website. I do want to point out that this is a pre-recorded show, but if you have any questions or comments, you can always feel free to post them below. So we have a super huge guest today that we're very excited for. So I'd love to introduce you to Sam Wilson, who, as many of you may know, for the past 10 years was the AARP Wisconsin State Director. But last month, he is now our regional vice president, which we'll talk more about that. But we just thought it'd be really nice, Sam, if you want to welcome to the show, to have Sam on to talk about all the goodness AARP, because you've been with AARP a lot longer than 10 years. So I thought we could walk down memory lane a little bit. But welcome to the show, Sam.
Thanks, Amber. It's great to be on the show in a different capacity than I've ever been, and I've even been in your shoes hosting. So it's fun to be back with you, and happy holidays to you.
And I know about 3 weeks ago, we got some terrible news that you were leaving us for a different position within AARP. We were very excited for you, but of course very saddened because we love and adore you as the state director. So if you could talk a little bit about, maybe if we could walk down memory lane, a little bit about how long you've been with AARP, kind of the capacity you started in, and how did you end up in the state of Wisconsin for AARP?
Yeah, happy to do so, Amber. So it goes back, as you said, beyond my time as state director in Wisconsin, about 20 years actually now, to 2001. And interestingly enough, my first day at work was September 10th, 2001, a day before things changed dramatically in our country. But I had started with AERP at a time when there was a grand experiment happening with state offices opening for AERP. And basically from the beginning of AERP, 1958, somewhere around there, up until about 2001, AERP was largely a national organization. There were regional offices, but they were really in place to help volunteers in all the states. There wasn't a permanent staff presence in all the states. And at the time, the CEO of AERP had said, I think the future for AERP is to bring our work to the state level and not just with our national programming. And so as all of the state offices were opening at that time, I saw an opportunity in my home state of South Dakota to help open that office. And I was the second person hired into the AERP South Dakota office. to be the Associate State Director for Advocacy. And that was, again, the same work that's happening today in our state offices. It's really working with our volunteers to pass legislation at the state level and at the federal level, working with our state legislators and our members of Congress to have those impactful victories for the 50 plus that make their lives better, whether it be in the financial security realm or in healthcare. It could be through utilities, could be a variety of different issues, right, that we've worked on. And that I did that for 10 years and spent a lot of time commuting back between the office in Sioux Falls and the state capital of Pierre. And about the 10-year mark of doing that work for AARP, I knew I wanted to stay at AARP. It's just such an amazing organization with an amazing purpose. The talent that the organization attracts is second to none. And to be able to work with our volunteers is just the icing on the cake. And so I knew I didn't want to change that part of my life, just maybe perhaps a new role with new challenges. And at that time, there was an opportunity for a new state director in the AARP Wisconsin office. And I knew the reputation of the AARP Wisconsin office was strong, tremendous staff and volunteer leadership. And my folks had actually started their professional careers, and my brother was born in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. And so my folks said, boy, if you're going to leave South Dakota for any state, Wisconsin is certainly one that we would recommend. And so I was fortunate enough to be named the AARP Wisconsin State Director. And that was, feels like a short 10 years ago, and now have an opportunity for some new challenges as the regional vice president for the Central Region. And for those that don't know AARP's internal workings, the Central Region of state offices basically goes from North Dakota at the Canadian border all the way down to Oklahoma. We grab Arkansas and we catch Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa as well. So 9 states in the Central Region, all just tremendous state offices with tremendous staff doing great work on behalf of our members in the 50 plus. So really, really honored to be able to have this new role at AARP.
And I will ask the next question, not in a professional way, but why did you leave us? So what, the role as VP, of course, it sounds terrific. What kind of led you of this would be the next step in my career at AARP to kind of be more of a regional, position instead of state? Like what kind of brought you to that?
Yeah, I think, when you're in a role with those first days, when you're in a new role, your vision is very small, right? You're just focused on the things that are right in front of you. And as you develop in a role, that vision increases. And for me, as I spent my first 10 years as an associate state director, I could see the work that AARP was doing with a little wider lens.
Yeah.
Then when I became state director, that lens widens even more, and you start to see things, it just how everything fits together, right? And as a regional vice president, obviously that lens gets even larger. And what it does is it taps into all of those things I've learned along the way about the organization, about leading teams, about empowering our volunteers. And really, that's what I'm offering up to all the states in the Central Region and to the organization itself, is that really culmination of 20 years of service to AARP and just trying to make that a value add to the other state offices in the Central Region. So again, the best part about it, though, is that rather than leaving the work of state offices, I now get to see what's happening in 9 state offices. And that seeing that impact happen is the thing that fills my bucket. And if I would ever have to step away from being able to see that on a daily basis, I'd absolutely know that wouldn't be the role for me. But this one just allows me to see it from a different vantage point.
And it's nice because being the state director and then moving into this role, selfishly, we still have you because you are part of the central region. So you left us, but you didn't go too far. So that's also what makes us excited. And Sam, thinking about your 10 years as the Wisconsin State Director, is there a couple things that stick out to your head that you are really proud of AARP Wisconsin, doing over the 10 years, if you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's been such an evolution at AERP as an enterprise, but also within the state offices. When the state offices started, um, we did some advocacy. We got better and better at doing advocacy, and that portfolio of issues kept growing. But then we realized we needed to show up more in community. And so we started placing a greater emphasis on having AERP's local presence be felt. That really isn't that long ago where we were really just trying to figure that out. And that really did occur during my 10 years in Wisconsin. And so some of the things that I'm most proud of, certainly our advocacy efforts, and our electoral and voter engagement efforts, I always place top one or two on the list of accomplishments because we're so good at that, and our volunteers are so good at partnering with us to make those impactful campaigns happen. But I think for me, the ability for AARP to be felt and relevant in people's lives locally and in their communities is the transformation that I've seen happen over the last 10 years. That's the most profound. And we had to figure out how to do it. We've done, different types of events in different locations, in urban settings, in rural settings. We did rural tours across northern Wisconsin. We've done baseball games with the Brewers. We've done football games with the Packers. Just a whole host of different types of activities to show folks that AERP will bring the information to them in their communities. And that's what we're really about, meeting them where they are. So that's what I'm incredibly proud of. And included in that is the work that yourself and Darren Wisniewski, as our Associate State Directors for Community Outreach, have done around livable communities. The future of AERP as we get more local and get more entrenched into our local communities with our members, we're hearing more and more that people want AERP to be engaged in those local issues. And we've started to make those investments, and we've made tremendous strides, including adding communities in Wisconsin to the AERP network of age-friendly communities. And we continue to find more and more opportunities for us to use that livable communities platform to improve, the housing that we have available for the 50 plus in Wisconsin, for the transportation options that we have for the 50 plus, for the job and economic opportunities for the 50 plus in Wisconsin as well. So I just really think that work, continues to contain a tremendous amount of potential. But, our advocacy work, our community outreach work is second to none of any organization in this country, and certainly second to none in Wisconsin.
And Sam, so September 10th, 2001, when you started at AARP, did you envision your career to span over almost 20 years? Granted, you started when you were 10, so you're only 30 right now.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about, like, where, did you see yourself, like, be having this amazing career at AARP when you started 20 years ago?
That's really interesting, Amber. I think people of my age, I'm a Gen Xer, basically 50 years of age, uh, looked at probably our parents and said, I probably won't have the same careers that they did, staying with one employer for 20 or 30 years. And in my case, that's true for both of my folks. They were, in the same profession, maybe not exactly the same employer, but for the most part, they were for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, that'll never be me. I'm going to have to change, every 3 or 5 years and find a new challenge under a different roof. But just absolutely amazed to have been able to find an organization that is not only has so much breadth in what it does, but that it's constantly trying to evolve and improve itself. And that's one of the great, uh, to me, distinguishing factors about AARP is that as an organization, we've never rested on our laurels. We've always tried to improve our ability to impact the 50 plus. We constantly try to evolve and innovate the way we do our work. And that attracts that similar type of staff and volunteers who want to be involved in organizations like that. And so that sense of constantly renewing itself has always made sense for me to be sort of the place where I want to share my own skills and talents for my profession.
And my other question is looking to 2022, which is like 2 weeks away of that, what do you see? It could be on a national front, it could be a regional, or it could be Wisconsin. What do you see AARP doing in 2022? What should we get excited about?
Yeah, well, we know that 2022 is going to be an election year, right, across the country. In Wisconsin, we'll have a priority governor's race, or a priority in the sense that it will be one of the top races watched around the country. We know that the Senate, U.S. Senate being split as it is right down the middle, we know that the Senate race will be very closely watched. And so it's going to be, AARP will be at the front and center once again next year, ensuring that our members have the information they need to be able to go to the ballot box and make the best decision for themselves and their families. And that is a tradition that has continued not only in Wisconsin, but around the country for AARP, as being seen as that real trusted voice for the 50 plus, and the ability for us to disseminate information to our members and to the 50 plus on issues that are important to them. So I think we're going to see a tremendous amount of activity around the electoral work at AARP. And we're still in a pandemic.
Yeah.
We find ourselves 22 months from when we went to work from home on March of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we reemerge from that? How do we get back into communities? How do we again begin to show our presence from Ashland to Beloit and across the state? How do we do that well? How do we reconnect with our members? I think those are all really important things that we're going to have to consider next year.
Yeah. And Sam, what final words would you like to share with our viewers about, once again, it could be your time at AARP, this really great opportunity of regional VP. What would you like to share with our viewers?
Well, I personally deeply want to thank all of the staff, all of the volunteers whom I've had the pleasure to work with over the last 10 years here in Wisconsin. It has been an incredible journey where we have done some impressively impactful work on behalf of the 50 plus. No state director can take credit for the work that's done. It is a team effort in a true regard. I am always incredibly impressed with the skill and the talent of the staff and of the volunteers, and the commitment that everyone has shown, and the resilience over the last couple of years. So I just want to thank everyone for the 10 amazing years that I had in Wisconsin. I also want to say that as the former state director for AARP Wisconsin, I'll have a keen eye on what's happening in Wisconsin and my role as regional vice president. So my lens won't be too far away from always seeing what's happening in Wisconsin, but it's been such a pleasure, and I've appreciated every moment.
And you do still reside in Wisconsin, so you are a Wisconsinite no matter what. So
That's right. That's right.
So, Sam, I personally, and I probably could speak a lot for the AARP Wisconsin team too, is it's been such a pleasure working with you. I'm one of the newer quote unquote employees starting in July of 2019. I had the pleasure of working with you beforehand in some other initiatives with my former employer, but always just your aura, just always so positive and supportive. I always, and you know this, enjoy your dry sense of humor. Not everybody might be able to get to see that with you, but it's just been really a joy to work under your leadership. And even though we were sad to see you move into a new position, it's so well deserved. So we wish you nothing but the best, and you will see us. You can't get rid of us. So.
Wow, that's very kind of you to say, Amber. And again, it's awe-inspiring, the new responsibility and opportunity that I have, but it's literally all because of the fantastic work of yourself and others with whom I've had the pleasure to grow my own talents at AARP. So glad to at any time ever come back onto the show and give updates from a regional perspective at AARP.
Great, absolutely. And of course, you could always be guest host. So that is always
that's
an
a,
open
that's a deal.
open invite. Well, Sam, thank you as
Thank you.
always. We always just appreciate you and wish you great success in your new venture with AARP. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you're looking for opportunities for virtual events during the holiday season, you can check out the AARP Wisconsin website at aarp.org/Wisconsin. If you're also looking for information about Small Dollar Big Impact, that application will be due January 18th. So if you're looking for opportunities for your nonprofit or municipality to apply for a grant of up to $1,000, you might have a really great idea for out of the box or innovative idea for your community. We encourage you to look at the aarp.org/Wisconsin, so WISDBI, to apply. Once again, please note this was pre-recorded, but still post your comments and questions below. We wish you a happy holidays, and please come back here next Thursday. We have actually an interview with our interim state director, Christina Fitzpatrick, so you'll be able to get to meet her. So we look forward to otherwise seeing you in the new year, and until then, be safe.